It's true that the very best Android games cost money. Unfortunately, not everyone has money to spend. There are many reasons why this can be the case, but suffice it to say that there is a market for games that are totally free. The good news is that those of you who can't afford games are in luck because there are great options out there that cost nothing. In this roundup, we'll take a look at the best free Android games with no in-app purchases. Please note that many of these do have in-game advertising to support the developers. Free games with no in-app purchases aren't common releases. Subscribe and stay up to date with the best games of Android in all categories. Altos Odyssey and Altos Adventure are two of the best free mobile games for runner fans. Players ski down gorgeous landscapes while avoiding obstacles, collecting coins, and performing neat tricks. Altos Adventure is the older game and its mechanics are a little simpler in terms of scope. Altos Odyssey adds to the adventure experience and adds some extra stuff. Now, technically, these do have in-app purchases. However, they are purely cosmetic. The entire game and everything in it is unlockable through gameplay, although it does take a while. The developers went on record to state that the game makes most of its bones from ads anyway, so hardly any of the players actually buy anything. Fighting Tiger is an action fighting game with a lot going for it. In this one, you'll be playing the part of Jin and your goal is to save your girlfriend and leave the gang that you're in. It plays a lot like a standard fighting game, except you'll be fighting multiple opponents at once. There are a variety of moves to learn, or you can pick up weapons to fend off your opponents as well. It's an older game, which means it doesn't have that smoothness that modern games do, but it's also completely free with no in-app purchases. Ramageddon is a fun little multiplayer game. You and other players drop into a map and then try to ram each other off of the edge. Think of it like a ram-themed version of bumper cars. You can play with real people online or offline with bots if you want to. The game also includes 3 maps, taunts for your enemies, and no pay-to-win strategies. This game is brand new at the time of this writing and the developers are still very much working on polishing this one up. The controls are already better than the beta version, so we're excited for this game's future. It's family-friendly, easy to play, and difficult to master. Geometry Dash is a small series of free Android games. They're action platformers with some rhythm game elements. Each one is rather short. However, it's tough to complain much when they're completely free. The latest in the series is Geometry Dash Sub-Zero. The other 2 free ones are Geometry Dash World and Geometry Dash Meltdown. These are all excellent games for those on a very strict and tight budget. Sonny is one of the newer free Android games with no in-app purchases. It is an action RPG with a post-apocalyptic theme and comic book elements. The mechanics are easy enough to figure out. The game is also fairly deep for a free game. There is advertising and it can get a little brutal. However, it doesn't mess too much with the fun of the game. It is rather new. Thus, there may be a few bugs. Otherwise, it's pretty decent. Suzy Cube is hands down the best 3D platformer available on Android outside of using emulators. It features surprisingly tight touchscreen controls that let you jump and dash through over 40 levels, each filled with challenging platforming and secret areas to discover. There's some repetition, each world ends with a near identical boss battle with slight variations, but Suzy Cube does a good job of never feeling stale. There are no in-app purchases at all, as all the bonus content is unlocked using stars found throughout each level. That means you'll be replaying levels to collect all the stars and set new speed running times. In a futuristic world where violent cyberpunk gangs are a real problem, and the letter U has inexplicably been replaced with Y, you play as the JYDGE, a cybernetic enforcement officer who uses his gavel. Each level features different challenges you'll need to complete to progress through the game. In that way, this game has a bit of a roguelike element to it, where you may keep replaying levels with different upgrade combinations until you complete all the medals. There's a deep upgrading system here that thankfully wasn't developed around in-app purchases. Instead, the game rewards you for completing goals, replaying levels, and ransacking enemy hideouts for loot that you can spend towards cybernetic upgrades. Teslagrad is an indie game you may not have heard of, but it's an absolute must-play for any platforming or puzzle game fans. The game is set in the fictional city of Teslagrad, which is a part of the kingdom of Electropia. You play a young boy who is chased by the king's guards into the ancient Tesla tower in the middle of town. It's there that you start to discover the long-lost Teslamancer technology used by wizards to control electromagnetism in various ways. You'll be tasked with solving platforming puzzles as you go about your adventure, which includes some epic boss battles. Featuring handmade graphics and very unique art style, Teslagrad is one of those games that needs to be experienced firsthand, ideally on a device with a big and bright screen. I've been playing it on the Razer phone and it looks absolutely gorgeous with the enhanced refresh rate and all. The animations are super fluid and the game has an uninterrupted flow to it with no ads or menus popping up as you play. I've only been playing it for a couple of hours since its launch and I can already tell it's one of the top premium games released for Android in 2018.